welcome all you wonderful people out there in YouTube land. This is a Texas special, and for this March 2024 HO scale quarterly locomotive review, we have this little guy here on loan from a friend here in town. Mr. Jim Moe was gracious enough to loan me this for the purposes of a product review. As you can see, this is a Bachmann Spectrum locomotive, and given that it's from Mr. Moe's personal collection, this is going to be steam transition era type locomotive. This is a Bachmann Spectrum Union Pacific 060 tank switcher, coal-fired tank switcher. So just like any other Bachmann Spectrum box, what you're going to do, you're going to lift the top off of it just like you saw me do there. You're going to have your various, your propaganda from Bachmann, as well as an owner's manual and an exploded parts diagram. You have this little foam cover here, this little foam sheet. Just lift that up, and that will expose the locomotive sitting in the box, ready and willing and anxious to get to work. To get the engine out, just very gently grab a hold to it and lift it out, and there it is. Just a diminutive little engine. Just, there you go. Now, I've been playing around with this thing, and I can tell you, its pulling power definitely matches its size. It has all kinds of holy hell trying to move any kind of a halfway decent train with my modern sized freight cars. The best I can get away with is about a half dozen of these ore cars that I'm using for rock cars. So we'll go ahead and use that for the test train. Alright, y'all, I apologize about the glare, but that's really the only way you can see most of the detailing on this black engine. You see there, as I step in front of the light, it's kind of hard to see the details on this engine if I don't throw a lot of additional light on it. You have some very nice valve gear detailing here, drive and side rod detailing, chemically blackened metal rods, chemically blackened piston valve gear here, a little air tank, locomotive air tank, or main reservoir rather. You have this separately applied hand railing right here. This pipe detailing here is cast on to the body. The body is a plastic construction. You can just barely make out there the separately applied hand railings, and this cab door is cast on. All the rivet detailing obviously is cast on. You have a nice little stirrup step detailing here, also separately applied. You have the various domes, the steam dome, sand dome. You have a bell right here, headlight that operates. Some more separately applied hand railing detail here and here, as well as a builder's plate right here, non-legible of course, and little pilot supports here and also on the other side. The lettering and numbering on this locomotive are very well done. Very nice opaque lettering. There's no fading. There's no there's no faded edges. It's very well done. And you can also see a little engineer right here in the cab, but right there, right beside the engineer where I'm touching, that's actually the CAN motor. Not a whole lot of room to work with in something like this. Again, just a little itty bitty little steam switcher, not meant to do heavy lifting or move drag freights over the Rockies. Alright, here we are looking at the front of the locomotive. My apologies, this is the most my camera would let me zoom in and have all the details clear. So you see we have the headlight, again operating LED headlight. Have a separately applied grab iron here. Underneath, a center mounted separately applied number plate, which matches of course the number painted on the side of the cab of the locomotive. You have some nice wood grain detailing here on the pilot of the locomotive and the brakeman's footsteps here and here. A plastic Easy Mate magnetic knuckle coupler, operating knuckle coupler. You also have the polling pockets. These little divots right here are the polling pockets, which I've discussed polling before, so I'm not going to get into it again. And a separately applied, movable but obviously non-operating uncoupling lever. The fireman's side of the locomotive is identical with two notable exceptions. You have the air pump here, and you have the whistle, separately applied whistle detail right here. Other than that, the fireman's side of the locomotive is identical to the engineer's side of the locomotive. Looking at the rear of the locomotive, you have the coal bunker here. This is a coal-fired steam. This is a model of a coal-fired steam locomotive. You have another separately applied uncoupling lever right here. Obviously non-functional. Of course, the plastic Bachmann Easy Mate operating magnetic knuckle coupler. More wood grain detailing on this footboard right here, as well as the actual footboard step, and of course the polling pocket. You have some nice rivet detailing along the edge of the panels on the back side of the cab, and the matching number right here, just like all the rest of the lettering and numbering on the locomotive. This is a very well done number 89 with no fading or bleed through or wrinkles or rips or tears or anything, which, you know, not that impressive. This is a newer model locomotive, and it's applied to a flat surface with no rivets or ribs or anything to try to conform the paint around. Looking at the top side of this locomotive, you can see the coal, cast in coal load detailing there in the coal bunker. Now, it's a little too glossy for my taste, not my model, so I'm not going to touch it. You have the cab roof hatch, and you also have some nice rivet detailing along the top of the roof of the cab. Other than that, there's not really a whole lot to look at along the top of the locomotive that you can't really see from either side of the locomotive. Alright, so as I mentioned, this locomotive is very light on its drivers, so it's not going to pull a whole heck of a lot in the way of a freight train, any train really. This is not something you would buy if you're looking for mainline power. This would be good for like a short little 1 or 2 car passenger local, or something to use to move cars around in a small switching yard, or a small industry type deal. This would be an excellent locomotive for that. Yeah, this is not what I would call mainline power, unless you're modeling a super sleepy branch line or short line that only has, 2 or 3 car long freight trains. Like I said, the most I could get away with on this railroad, and full disclosure, the Stars Hollow Railroad is not perfectly level. I did that on purpose. And we're also talking about 18-inch radius curves. Again, did that on purpose. The best I could get away with is a half dozen of these ore cars, these Athearn ore cars, and a caboose. So I have a short train made up. We'll follow this guy around the railroad for a loop, and then we'll do a little bit of switching with him. We'll swap out these empty ore cars for some loaded ore cars. You can see the engine runs nice and smoothly. Gets going relatively smoothly. Very, very quiet running engine. And I apologize for that background noise. That's my portable air conditioner here in the garage.